How to make compost from cardboard and paper, with 4 easy garden hacks for free soil. Why most gardeners are throwing away one of the best compost ingredients without realizing it. Every week, perfectly good soil building material ends up burned, dumped, or hauled off as trash. Cardboard boxes, paper bags, newspaper, and scrap paper are quietly one of the most powerful carbon sources you can use in a garden. When handled correctly, they break down into rich, moisture-holding humus that feeds soil life for years. If you've ever struggled with smelly compost, slow piles, or, constantly buying soil amendments, this approach really changes everything. This is about turning everyday waste into dependable, free soil that actually improves crops. Understanding why cardboard and paper belong in compost. Cardboard and paper are high-carbon materials. In composting terms, carbon provides structure, airflow, and long-term organic matter. Most garden compost piles fail because they contain too much nitrogen-heavy material like kitchen scraps or fresh grass. Paper products balance that out. Plain brown cardboard, egg cartons, paper towel rolls, and uncoated paper are all safe. So, it's best to avoid glossy magazines, waxed cardboard, or anything that's, heavily inked with those really bright colors. When composted correctly, paper doesn't actually steal nitrogen from your plants. That really only happens when it's buried raw without any decomposition. Hack 1, well, it shows how shredding and soaking paper can, speed up the breakdown process quite dramatically. The biggest mistake gardeners make is just tossing whole sheets of cardboard into a pile. Microbes actually work on surface area, not thickness. So tear cardboard into hand-sized pieces, or, if you prefer, run paper through a shredder. Once it's shredded, soak it in water for several hours or even overnight. Wet paper collapses, softens, and becomes instantly digestible for fungi and bacteria. A simple ratio that works well is 3 parts soaked cardboard or paper to 1 part fresh green material like kitchen scraps, weeds, or manure. This creates immediate heat without odor and starts decomposition within days instead of months. Hack 2 explains how layering paper compost prevents pests and smell. When compost smells bad, it's usually because nitrogen-rich material is exposed or, compacted. Paper acts as a natural filter and airflow regulator. So start with a loose layer of shredded cardboard about 4 inches thick. Then add 2 inches of green material and, lightly cover again with paper. Repeat this pattern until the pile reaches at least 3 feet tall. This layering traps moisture while allowing oxygen to move through the pile. Gardeners dealing with flies, rodents, or foul odors often see those issues disappear once paper layers are introduced correctly. Hack 3 turns cardboard compost into instant garden beds. One of the most powerful uses of cardboard compost is direct soil building without turning piles at all. Lay soaked cardboard directly on the soil surface, overlapping edges so no light gets through. Add 4 to 6 inches of compost, grass clippings, or aged manure on top. Within 3 to 4 months, the cardboard breaks down into the soil, suppresses weeds, and feeds earthworms. This method works exceptionally well for new beds, paths, or even those tricky problem areas with really compacted soil. A practical example is converting lawn into garden space without any digging, just by laying cardboard in early spring and by early summer planting straight through it. Hack number 4, well, it shows how paper compost tea can feed your plants fast. So, fully decomposed paper compost can actually be turned into a pretty effective liquid feed. Just fill a bucket about halfway with your finished compost made from cardboard and paper. Then add water until the bucket is full and give it a really good stir. Now let that mixture sit for 12 to 24 hours, making sure to stir it every now and then. This process helps extract those soluble nutrients and all those beneficial microbes. You can use this to water your vegetables, fruit trees or seedlings, but do remember to dilute it. 1 part compost tea to 1 part water works just right. You know, gardeners often notice improved leaf colour and stronger growth within about a week, especially in those nitrogen-hungry crops like leafy greens. So, getting the moisture and ratios right is really important for consistent results. Paper-heavy compost in particular needs a bit of extra moisture control. The pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not dripping. If it's too dry, well, decomposition just stops, and if it's too wet, it tends to compact. A reliable working ratio is roughly 60% paper or cardboard to 40% green material by volume. Kitchen scraps, fresh weeds, coffee grounds and manure all work well. Turning the pile once every 2 to 3 weeks speeds breakdown, but even unmanaged piles will decompose if moisture and ratios are right. So what does finished cardboard compost actually look and feel like? Well, properly composted paper no longer resembles paper at all. It becomes dark, crumbly and has that lovely earthy smell. There really shouldn't be any visible sheets or clumps left. This compost, improves soil structure, increases water retention and feeds microbes that support long-term fertility. It works equally well in vegetable gardens, raised beds, orchards and even container mixes when blended at about 1/4 compost to 3/4 native soil or potting mix. So, why does this method keep paying off year after year? Well, cardboard-based compost builds these fungal networks that support plant roots over time. Unlike fast-burning fertilizers, this soil actually improves with each season. Gardeners who adopt this approach often find they need less watering, fewer inputs, and see stronger plants overall. It turns waste into a renewable soil system that fits real-world gardening without extra cost. If this guide helped you see cardboard and paper differently, make sure to subscribe to Evergreen Garden for more practical, no-nonsense gardening methods that actually work. Share this with another gardener who's still throwing boxes away and keep building better soil season after season.